T's performance at Hockenheim has brought him to the top of the points. However, without Simone, it's hard to tell how different things would be right now. If the two find themselves on the front row today, the race may wind up going to whoever arrives at Paddock Hill Bend first. That's assuming they can keep it on the track here at Brands Hatch. Let's see if they do as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Peter Mackay. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Brands Hatch is one of the various circuits which proudly call the British Grand Prix its home in its history. Let's head to our track guide to find out what it's all about. Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner of Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day. Well, happy Easter, Peter. Hope the Easter Bunny brought you a nice Scotch egg for your troubles, but let's focus on what we're going to witness here today. The Lotus 79 at Brands Hatch. What are you expecting with that?
Well, happy Easter to you too, Joe. And I just had to take a little moment there because the thought of a Scotch egg made me rather ill. I have to say it's not my favourite thing, but I have had some Easter eggs today, which is good. But here at Brands Hatch, this would actually be a very good venue for rolling eggs because it's got so much undulation to it, a proper old school Grand Prix circuit, and today we're using the proper full layout as well, not the shortened Indy layout. And through the back part of the circuit, in this ground effect Formula One car, there are quite a few corners which are just about flat. And that is going to give us a really, really interesting spectacle to watch these drivers put it on the limit. And, well, we'll see who's going to come out on top. Will Thomas Simone's run of wins be broken after such a long time?
That's a good question, the one we all want to see answered. Well, speaking of that break, well, let's take a look at the championship because, as I mentioned, he wasn't here last time. That's why you don't see him in the top 5 on the points. Gernot Frische, though, consistent and is challenging Andy T at this stage in the season with only a 6-point gap. Sean Campbell and Andreas Henkel little ways behind with Jukka Tolinen trailing down in 5th. But there are drop weeks that we have to remind you that will change the complexion of things if we have drivers who continue to miss weeks. What about the team standings, Peter? Why don't you update us on those?
So at the moment, it's Parmalat Racing Team Brabham, which are leading by 19 points from Ligier Gitanes at this moment in time. Martini Racing and Albilad Saudia, or Williams as they're also known, are tied for 3rd, with Marlboro Team McLaren in 4th and Fittipaldi in 5th.
Now for today's event, as we mentioned, we are in round 3 out of a 12-round season. They're going to be running 37 laps today, and it is an open setup series. They also have some incident limits. If you hit 17, you'll get a drive-through penalty. If you hit 25, you'll actually be disqualified. But there's not a lot of places where you can run off track here, at least, and keep the car whole, so I'm not expecting that to be much of an issue. right now, the qualifying underway with relatively ideal temperatures at 87 Fahrenheit has provided the drivers a good platform, and Simone is definitely capitalizing on it as he is up by just over 2/10.
Well, that's interesting because I did do a little bit of detective work going into the pre-race practice, and Andy T was actually ahead of Simone by about that same margin. So we'll see what they set on their second laps. Yeah, you usually find, especially with such high cornering speeds, when the tyres are up to their best, is usually on those second flying laps. You can see here, Thomas Simone pretty much flat out through here, and such high corner speed there. Look at that, having to manage the oversteer on the exit. Up through Sheen Curve he goes, and then into the, using the grass on the exit and then tucking it in. And look at that, Andy T goes quicker by 19 thousandths of a second, but can Thomas Simone beat that time?
Doesn't have a wide margin to try and make up. Let's see what he's got. A 1:11. Oh, he slows. He's going to abandon it. So T will get the bonus points for the pole position and the better starting spot on the grid. Tolvanen down in 12th, crosses for his second lap. It's a 1:11.9. That is faster by a couple tenths. He goes up to 11th position. But what about Freesia? Has yet to set a time in his qualifying session. He is on his first flyer right now, and he has enough left for his second after this. It looks like he's on it, Peter.
He looks very neat and tidy, does Gernot Freesia. And of course, as soon as you slide this car, you're losing so much lap time. You really need to keep that corner speed up because it can just generate so much of it. And Gernot Freesia comes round onto the Brabham Straight, which, as you can see, is not straight at all. Goes around. What does he set? A 1:11.8. So Gernot goes
the top 10.
Wow, that's we haven't seen him, Gernot, as far back as that in quite some time.
This is Sam Doby, who's on his second time lap, but he seems to be having some connection issues, unfortunately. So we hop over to Timo as Karjalainen works his way around Druids down towards Graham Hill Bend and towards the lowest part of the track, heading towards into what I consider one of these sleeper corners. Very difficult, not one you hear a lot about.
No, Surtees is a really tricky corner there as well. It's one of those corners where you can take a few different approaches to it, a few different lines, and watch out for that corner because we might well see a little bit of contact there, because if you take a different line, the exit still funnels, it kind of bottlenecks into the same place on circuit. So keep an eye out for there. But to see Timo Karjalainen putting in his final lap, see if he can improve from 9th position on the grid. But no, he will not, because that running off circuit there, and that lap will be invalidated.
Ooh, and Freesia just went up to 4th, so he did find time on that second lap. And Timo, let's see if he continues on regardless. As actually, no, I think this is his 3rd lap. It does look like he's already completed that last one, so doesn't matter for him so much as just getting practice. Let's see if we have anybody else out there trying to complete. No, that is it for our qualifying. Everybody is set. Starting order for today has Andy T on the pole ahead of Tomasz Simon. He was able to take the win without Tomasz there. Can he withstand the pressure today? Nikola Kochi starts in 3rd with Gernot Freesia making much better on his 2nd lap and getting up onto the 2nd row. It's Michael de Turk starting P5 with Andreas Henkel in the 6th position. Oscar Irina, surprisingly far down for him. He'll start from 7th. Severi Seppa is P8, and Parigi is 9th, with Karjalainen putting his car into 10th.
Starting in 11th is our Grand Prix legend star, Ovi Trengareid, coming in from the Lotus 49. He'll start just on the left-hand side of the 6th row. Jukka Tullinen will join him in 12th position. Row 7 will be Topi Korteniemi, another Lotus 49 star, alongside Pauli Kalevi-Partanen. Row 8 will be Mick Claridge and Eduardo Prado. Row 9, Timothy Reed and Roman Pawlowski, who had a great run in the Lotus 49s yesterday. And David Serrois and Alexis Tapiavico round out your top 20.
And then from there, 21st goes to Amir Carr, with Pablo Suarez in 22nd and Sam Doby in 23rd. Only one driver failing to make a time today, Miguel Alcalde, I'm checking to see if he is in the session, and yes, he is. So he is elected to start from the back at a track, Peter, that is not known for its plethora of overtaking spots today.
No, certainly not, especially in these Lotus 79s where it can be a little bit tricky to follow and not a great deal of draft either. However, what this circuit is notorious for is, especially in these high downforce cars, you've really got to lay it on the line to be competitive. You have to almost step through a corner, you think there's no way the car's going to hang on, and it does. And this ground effect Formula 1 car is exactly that way. So I think you're more having to wait for it to force mistakes from your opponent. But as we can see, the pace difference between Andy T and Thomas Simon is virtually non-existent, so we'll see how that pans out over the course of the race.
Well, that's on his second lap, though. We have to remember, we didn't get to see what Simone had beneath him the second time around. He could have made a mistake. Maybe he can go faster. We'll find out in a moment, because the last of the cars are gridding up. We're getting ready to run round 3 in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Andy T versus Thomas Simone. Both with a win so far this season. Just waiting on Roman Pavlowski to plop his car out there, and then we'll get the lights up with 24 competitors in the top split. There we go. And with that, the engines start to rev. The red lights are up, and the green flag is out. Off the line, T looks decent. Oh, and the second phase is horrible for Simone. He suddenly drops back. Nicola Kochi gets by. So does Gernot Friesche, but he's going to try and fight back on the multi-time champion as they go side by side up into Druids. But with Friesche having the inside, he's going to get into third.
Oh, well, a dramatic start here. Not often do you see Thomas Simone back there in fourth position. Look at Andy T. He knows he's got a great opportunity here. So close on pace with Thomas Simone. This is his opportunity to lay down some qualifying laps as best as he can. Of course, the tyres won't quite be up to temperature yet, but really got to try and push beyond what you think is possible. But great start from Andy T. and Nico Kochi second and Gernot Friesche third. So it looked like it could have been a disastrous day for Gernot Friesche. Back in 10th on the grid, pulls a lap time out of the bag, and he's right up there fighting in the podium spots.
We did have an accident into Druids. Vico, Reed, and Sawah involved in that. A few had to check up to try and pick their way around the spun cars. Meanwhile, at the top, we see Andy T with a half-second gap over Kochi now into second place as they fly out of Jim Clark and then up towards the start-finish line to complete lap 1. Tomasz Simon, despite starting on the front row, has a challenge as we got a side-by-side battle into the first corner. Rinna managing to get by Henkel.
Yeah, good move there from Oskari Rinna. Great to see the Finn back as well. Always love to see Oskari Rinna with his Andre Lotterer tribute helmet. And you know that actually Andre Lotterer has his own line of coffee now.
Oh.
Sacred Coffee have done a special. Now I believe it's either Chilean or Peruvian, because he's got relatives from that part of the world.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that as our drivers now come through Hawthorne for the second time. One of those fast corners we heard Peter talking about. Close between Simone and Friesche for that third spot. He was right up the gearbox of that number 1 car, but not able to make the passes. We ride on board looking over his shoulder. You can see how frantic the cars can be sometimes through the bumps of this old style course.
Yeah, and of course these cars are so stiff as well, so you feel every bump, and you've got to be very careful when extending track limits, because, well, there really isn't any runoff, to be honest. You're onto the grass and straight into the wall. Nico Kochi 112.7. Expect that lap time to get a whole lot faster, because as the cars burn off the fuel, the weight of the car comes down and speed goes up, and it's Cortinemi in the fence.
Oh, no. And there was a lot of action happening right there. 3 wide into Paddock Hill Bend is usually ill-advised, and unfortunately, Topi is the one that gets to demonstrate why.
Yeah, it's about as advisable as 6 shots of tequila going 3 wide into Paddock Hill Bend, as we will see now, as will be demonstrated. We've got Trengrade in the middle there as well, and yeah, it just isn't enough room. In fact, when you turn around, it just closes off. You can see the two classic Lotus colours there, the racing green with gold stripe, and Mick Claridge, I believe, is running one of those liveries today.
Claridge up to 13th. We watched so much of him battling out at Hockenheim, and that was just for a top 10. But we've switched over to Shimon now as he continues to fight, actually, to the inside of him. Oskari Rinna takes the apex away through Clark, and coming up the hill towards Patterkill Bend, he's got the desired line. Can he complete the pass? Yes, he's got it.
This is the best run we have seen from Oskari Rinna in quite some time. He's been a little bit quiet of late, and I'll tell you what, if you can overtake Thomas Simon like that, you are really on the charge. Started 7th on the grid, up 3 spots for the Finn, but watch out for Nico Kochi. He's the man who's actually putting a bit of pressure on Andy T here, and during the week, Joe, Nico actually very kindly sent me a picture of his motion rig, and it is a serious piece of kit. He also has a VR headset, so his motion rig and VR headset is as close as you'll ever get to the real thing.
Oof, that sounds like a vomit comet if I've ever heard.
Yes, that was my thought too.
Well, as we ride on board with the Italian, he hasn't been keeping right on top of Andy T, but he's holding with him. And crucially, they've dropped those behind them. It's 2.3 seconds back as you see them fly by here. The gap behind them is quite visible.
It is, yeah. And of course, Gernot Fritsch running in third right now, about 4/10 of a second ahead of Oskari Rinna. But Rinna really on the charge. Looking at his lap times, yeah, the best lap time for Gernot Fritsch, 1:13.1, now just improved to 1:13.0. Oskari Rinna's best time is a 1:12.7, which is about on the pace of Nico Kochi. So it's a really intriguing start. Thomas Simon just seems a bit out of sorts. He hasn't broken the 1:13s yet.
This is incredibly unusual for him, and you mentioned it earlier. He's been on a streak of wins for each race that he's attended since the beginning of last season. I believe round 1 at Long Beach was the only time last season that he did not win a race that he showed up to. And right now, this might be the end of that streak. However, we have seen in the past, sometimes the cars can be set up towards the end of the race. I'm wondering if maybe it's just not as good in the early stages today.
Well, if that is the case, he's gonna need a lot of pace late on in the race, because at the moment that gap is growing and Andy T is escaping at the front. He's actually pulled out a big margin here on Nico Kochi on this last lap, about half a second over this lap. This is going to be a quick lap, I think, from Andy T, and it is a 1:12.5, 1:12.9 for Kochi.
We just missed Oskari Rinna going around the outside of Patterkill Bend, and we still got a battle here as Tomas Simon is now trying to use that to his advantage. He'll have the inside into Graham Hill Bend. Oh, but he comes together, and Gernot Fritsch is spun off the course. So Simon is up to 4th, but unfortunately it's at the expense of our multi-time champion.
And our championship contender, of course, as well. Gernot Fritsch only a handful of points off our championship leader, Andy T, but wow. Well, I tell you what, Oskari Rinna he's put a whole dose of Sisu on his cornflakes this morning. My goodness me. That's outrageous. And the thing is, going around the outside of anyone at that corner is impressive. But to go around the outside of Gernot Fritsch, as you said, a multiple champion, that is what has got into Oskari Rinna this morning. Oh,
it's a little bit of the touch of the grass, and I'm not sure if that put Fritsch out of sorts, but I think the nail in the coffin is that touch there. Yeah, I think no matter what, you're going to have to put that one on the contact. However, I wouldn't put blame on either driver. It seems just hard racing that went south. Well, Oskari Rinna up to 3rd, has about 2 seconds to make up to Kochi as we now check in with Michael de Turk, who is chasing down Henkel. This is for a top 5. And they've also got Karjalainen behind them in 7th, as well as Seppa.
Yeah, it was actually earlier on when I jumped into the practice session, I got I went onto the iRacing forum, and Michael de Turk has very kindly put up setups for every track this season. So if you're watching this broadcast here on the Global SimRacing Channel, you can take part in these races. They're every Sunday at 4:30 GMT. You can take part in this race, and if you're driving along thinking, I don't know how to set up this car, you'll go onto the forums, and Michael has very kindly put up some setups, and I can tell you it is night and day to drive.
Now back to a fan favorite, Uwe Trangaré, who pretty much competes in every of the retro series we cover here on GSRC. Right now, though, a little ways down the order in 16th, chasing the likes of Suarez and Pawlowski. Roman up there in those Lotus colors, one who races in the Lotus 49, which is a completely different car. But this is a great run from Trangaré. He pokes his nose to the inside. Unfortunately, can't get overlap into Paddock Hill Bend, so Suarez will retain 15th.
I have to say I love that, the green martini colours, really cool, with Essex oils on the side too. Timothy Reed going up the inside here. Whoa, with quite a lot of rear wing damage, which is, at this particular circuit, this is the last place that you want to have aero damage, because you need all of that grip.
Oh, and something's happened to Mick Claridge. He is off in Surtees. I'm not sure if this was on his own. This is the number 5 car that unfortunately gave us a lot of fun last time out. There you can see him on screen, sporting that Lotus 49 theme on his car as well. Looks like he's able to keep it going, but this lost him a lot of positions with that one error.
Yeah, Mick Claridge, you wonder, why is he running a Lotus 49 livery? Well, he is the undisputed champion of the Grand Prix Legends series, which we broadcast every Saturday here on the Global SimRacing Channel at 1:30 GMT. And Mick is on a run of well over 10 wins in a row. And it just shows you this car, of course, it's very much a complete revolution from the Lotus 49, which was launched in 1967. This car was launched in 1978, so just over a decade of development. And, well, although it is the same engine underneath with a little bit more power, Formula One changed beyond recognition. All of a sudden, there's big wings and slicks and all sorts.
You say undisputed, but if we have a certain Frenchman watching, I think he'd like a word with you on that one, Peter.
Dude, no, I honestly cannot remember the last time he beat Mick. It's been at least a season and a half.
He's certainly given him trouble for a lot of years, so he must have fallen off a little bit. As we now check in with Seppa, we glanced at Andy T, who's still a second and a half up on Kochi at the front of the field, but still no challenge there. This is for 7th position, 6th really, I guess you could say. Michael de Turk in front of both of these cars as they once again climb the Brabham Straight. And Ascari Rinna setting the fastest lap of the race from 3rd on the track right now as he goes purple at the top of the screen. A little wide there for de Turk across the hill, and that's going to allow Karjalainen to get ever closer.
Oh, this is interesting now at the front. Less than a second to go between Rinna and Kochi in second, and Rinna 0.3 of a second quicker than Kochi last time around, and Andy T not a million miles away, just nibbling a couple of hundreds here, a couple of hundreds there out of Nico Kochi. But Ascari Rinna, this has been, well, certainly in my time of commentating on the Sunday Grand Prix series here, I don't think I've ever seen such an inspired drive from Ascari Rinna. I've seen him lead from the front and win at the front, of course, but this is just an amazing charge from 7th on the grid.
I wonder if he maybe was trying to put a banker in on his second lap, because he did miss his first lap in qualifying. Usually the second in these cars is quicker, but if it was his second that counted, maybe he was holding back just a hair, and that's what put him down the order. And right now, he's making up for it in a big way as once again, watching above the helmet of the number 8 car, Severi Seppa, closing on his fellow countryman, Karjalainen, but not close enough to attack here into Druids.
Yeah, a little bit of a traffic jam here for Severi Seppa. An update on Tamas Simone. He is, well, I wonder if that damage has maybe caused a little bit of, I wonder if he's incurred much damage from that little clash with Gernot Fritzsche. You can see the front wing is just a little bit bent out of shape there.
Do you think it's affecting him that much that this is what's making him fall?
I don't know. Need to keep a close eye on the lap times. I mean, his best lap is the second quickest of all. That the quickest lap going to Oskari Rinne at this point in time. So it's need to keep a very close eye on his lap times, but definitely some visible damage. But how much it's holding him back, we'll need to see.
This is really where a lot of the fun has been forming here. The battle for 12th. Some of our Lotus 49 regulars, Pavlowski. Oh, and there's a car off track. That is Partanen. Partanen falling down the order. And unfortunately, the corner of Sterling, well, actually, no, I think it was Sheen, caught him out.
That's taking the sheen off his day anyway, that's for sure. As well. Oh, now that is got to be the most typical Brands Hatch crash here on iRacing. You're just biting that. You think when you come through the sheen it's blind, but you think, you know, I can be flat here, I can be flat, and then all of a sudden you're out to the edge of the road. You're thinking, oh God, here comes a plane accident. And well, we're going to get a good view of it here as you come through down Dingle Dell. It's one of my favourite corners just to say. Love saying Dingle Dell. Then through Sheen, you see blind entry onto the grass. Oh, you don't have to make much of it. Tell you what, he's busy enough on the hands anyway, but there was no catching that.
No, unfortunately. Well, that means that he has been taken out of contention as he drops down with a very damaged car. But look at how tight this is now. Oscar Urena behind Nicola Kochi. You mentioned it before. He definitely seemed to have better pace, but now that he's arrived, he's a dog that's caught the car. What's he going to do with it?
Well, update on Thomas Simone. If that, what would be scary is if that damage is holding him back, because he was an identical lap time there to Simone. Sorry, to Rinne, my apologies. So, yeah, Thomas Simone not hurting with that rear wing, the front wing damage. So, can Oskari Rinne get by? Well, we've seen him go around the outside of Gernot Fritzsche at Paddock Hill Bend, so I don't think there's any corner where any driver is safe from the charging Oskari Rinne from 7th on the grid. Don't forget that as well. Now, Nico Kochi, his rig will be wobbling around all over the place right now. He'll be on his VR headset. Oh, dearie me, that was a big moment there, and Rinne very, very wisely backed out of it.
Both of them really took a lot of the racetrack and dipped wheels off on the exit. They both survived, but a fair point about the incredible pass we saw from Rinne. And he's not going to do it this time. He's certainly not close enough to Nicola. As they come through Paddock Hill Bend, we jump behind them once again, looking at De Turk being chased by Hankel. And the 14 having a train of cars starting to form. We get a little bit of a truly train, unfortunately. 4 of them all in a row vying for that 5th position.
Poor old Jarno Trulli. He was famous for 3 things: winning a Monaco Grand Prix, holding people up, and headbands.
I thought you were going to say wine.
Oh, and wine. Yes, yes. 4, yeah.
What about Ove Terrangrade? He's famous for sliding the car around. Right now he's having to deal with the wake of Suarez in front of him, so I'm sure it's probably doing a bit of that as you see small corrections up through Surtees, and then Pilgrims drop as they crest through the bridge there, and then heading towards Hawthorne along the back half of the course. This, to me, well, is a little bit of grass to the inside for Suarez, slows him up, but Terrangrade can't take advantage of it. So he'll have to sit behind. Just shows you how tough it is to pass. But I was about to say, Peter, this, to me, that back half is what it shows a proper race course. As down to the inside goes Oskari Rinne, tries to attack into Druids, and Nicola Kochi tries to hold the long way around, almost squeezes him off the course, and they are going to make a little bit of contact, and he can't get it done this time. Oskari Rinne is going to have to work harder than that to overtake the Italian.
Oh, he looked like he was working hard to me, my goodness, backing it in, and you saw how much steering input he had to put in there on the brakes. Obviously going to be locked up a little bit. Big opposite lock there almost going into Druids. But look at Rinne, look at the grip he's got. What has he fitted 4-wheel drive to that car?
Yeah, I think it was Kochi just sliding. We saw a huge snap from him coming out of Hawthorne. Let's watch it one more time, and that just gave enough speed for Rinne to finally complete the pass.
It's actually a great save from the 4. That car could have been off in a big way with not much runoff there. Here it goes.
Good spot, Joe. Yeah, and just shows you it doesn't take much, does it? Just a tiny little wiggle, and you've got so much horsepower that you need to put down. If you just don't get it down just right, and well, especially when you've got someone in the form of his life, in the form of Oskari Rinne. Now, Andy T has probably been, going along quite nicely. It's nearly coming up to half distance now, thinking 2.7 seconds. This is all going to plan. But, I'll tell you what, Oskari Rinne is on the way.
Yeah, that's the thing that amazes me, is that we are just about at the halfway point, and we've had all this action, and Rinne has climbed his way forward through that many cars in that little time. But he has to make up 2.5 seconds from here if he hopes for the lead. And that would give us 3 different winners if he can manage that in 3 different races at the start of this season. As I was saying before, on this back half of the course, this to me is what a proper racetrack involves, is all these trees right up against the circuit. Really gives you a sense of speed, and when we get on board, you can really tell that they are flying.
Well, you wouldn't believe that Brands Hatch originally was actually a very flat area, and it was used as a military vehicle car park. But the cause of that, it was quite a target in the Second World War for bombings, and that is where the undulations come from. But thanks, guys, because you gave us a fantastic racetrack to use. And actually, the first race here was all the way back in 1928, of course, before the Second World War. And it was a race between cyclists and runners, and the runners won.
Bicycle technology had not quite caught up yet.
Obviously not. No, e-bikes weren't a thing.
Let's check in on Hankel, because, here he is right up in front of De Turk. Ooh, and that's a brave one trying it into Hawthorne, but he backs out of it. He's certainly thinking about it, though, as that green martini livery continues to hound the number 14 down through Dingledell. Let's see how they take Sheen, this blind right-hander. Both of them pitch perfect through there, and so 5th will stay in the hands of the 14.
As they come down now towards Clark Curve, named after the great Jim Clark, winner of the 1963 and 1965 Formula One World Championship and the 1965 Indianapolis 500. But it was here at Brands Hatch on Boxing Day 1958 where Jim Clark met Colin Chapman, the owner of Lotus, for the very first time. They had a race together, a club meeting in Lotus Elites, and actually Colin Chapman beat him.
Ooh, interesting. Well, I would hope he'd know the machinery well as we continue to watch this fight. The Turk's got to be careful, though. If he tries to pick a fight with Hankel, behind him, Karjalainen and Seppa are ready to pick up the scraps.
That they are. We talked about being freight trained. If you make one mistake here, look at that. You've got a whole cast of drivers who will not need a second invitation to come through and take those positions back. So we have hit that halfway point as well. Now, update at the front. Oskari Rinne last time around took 0.04 of a second out of Andy T, but his rate of catch up is going to have to be more than that, and it is. Oh my word, 111.9 for Oskari Rinne. So in the last 3 laps, he's taken time out of Andy T every single point. So now down to 2 seconds.
That was that time through. Also worth noting, I'm keeping half an eye on, is Tomas Simon has, in fact, turned it back up in the second half of this race as he's catching up to Kochi and looking at a podium. Here you can see him now out of Surtees and picking up the pace on one of the longest straights on this track. He's within about 0.3, but can he manage to get by? I'm sure Kochi's sick of being overtaken by these other quick drivers.
Well, I don't think we can stress enough just how hard these guys are driving. That's the one thing that I personally love about getting to commentate on sim racing is, and also as a viewer too, you can go on after this broadcast is finished. If you've got an iRacing subscription, fire it up and go on Brands Hatch in this car and you'll write the lap time down and compare your lap time against it, and you will see just how fast these guys at the front actually are. And of course you would never get that. You couldn't exactly jump in a Mercedes hybrid Formula One car and do a few laps at Bahrain, could you? So you do get that really good comparison with how good you are compared to the best in the world.
Look at just how much Rinne is sliding this thing around. He's taking absolutely every inch that he can to try and get that lap time out of it. We hop on board. Let's see how a master works as we watch in the helmet cam, taking it through Hawthorne. Once again, showing you the speed as these trees whiz by. And he can see Andy T in front of him. He's got a visual, and that's surely a carrot that is leading him on.
Yeah, absolutely, it will be, and he'll be watching his lap time delta as well, and that gap is coming down now to 1.8. It was 2 seconds at the line last time, so this is going to be another super quick lap from Oskari Rinne, so it is game on. However, Andy T is no slouch. He was only just over a tenth and a bit slower than Rinne last time, and of course that was when Rinne set the fastest lap of the race. So when Rinne does get onto the case, as he sets another quick lap time, 1:11.7, my word. When he does get onto Andy T's case, it's going to be by far the hardest car to pass of those who he's passed so far.
And Henkel made a mistake. We were on board when it happened, and that meant that Karjalainen got the run that he needed. He goes through. Now we're looking at another as Seppa dives to the inside, trying to get past now that he sees an opening. Tolinen watches from the pair of them, just looking and seeing if he can take advantage. He can, as he manages to get to the inside of Graham Hill Bend. So it switches from attack to defense on a poor Seppa as he goes around the outside of Surtees, but he gets the launch, and it's going to be a drag race up to Hawthorne.
It will be, as you can see, Jukka Tolinen there with the Angry Birds helmet there, and the Ligier Gaetania's car around the outside at Hawthorne's. My goodness me, that's a brave move. I'm sure Mike Hawthorne would have approved of that. And Mike Hawthorne, famous for quite a few things, has got a picture in front. Oh, and just avoided Henkel there, I think. But look at Kochi, he's got Thomas Simone on his case. Simone goes up the inside. Nope, Kochi shuts the door.
Ooh, he was within a tenth. Let's take a look at the replay here. This is the action with Henkel. And what did I say earlier? As soon as something happened, everybody behind was suddenly scrambling, hoping to try and get a spot out of that.
Well, I think that's the thing, is that the overtaking opportunities are so difficult to create that if you see someone make a mistake, you know that's your chance. You've got to go for it, and we did see that, a lot of opportunism. And well, in Henkel, in fact, I think he maybe just over pushed a little bit, just trying to escape from the drivers behind, as we're going to see it now as we follow him down Dingledale up to Sheen Curve. See where the mistake was made. Classic running wide at Sheen. It's so easy to do. Now, does he keep the car out the fence? He does. Yeah. Well done, because that any contact with that guardrail and your day is done. Love the martini overalls as well. Very nice.
Wow, that's impressive.
Being a good crasher is important.
You've had plenty of practice, I think?
Yeah, you saw evidence of that earlier on.
As we once again watch from Henkel, now down to 10th after he was looking at a top 5 earlier. So the day goes away in a hurry, unfortunately, and just little mistakes gathering together and compounding for him. But we're watching the battle for the battle for third, rather, I should say. Kochi and Simone, as they head through Hawthorne. Now Tomasz has caught him. He's having a lot harder time than Oskari is.
He is having a very hard time here with Nico Kochi, who, as you said, is probably fed up of cars going by. So he's thinking, no, you're going to have to work hard at this. But look at this charge from Oskari Rinne. Now look at those lap times from Andy T. Look at the consistency. 112.2, 112.1, 0.1, 0.0, 0.3. Really steady, fast pace. But Rinne is just he's just in a red letter day right now. This is one of these days that when everything just comes right, everything comes together, and you're operating on another level. I've never experienced it, but my word, Oskari, Rinne is experiencing it right now at 111.5. So he is tearing time out of Andy T right now.
Here's what's wild is Simone and Ascardi Rinne are the only two who have dipped into those 111s at all in this race. No other driver has been able to break that 112 mark. So they seem to be two of our quickest, but neither of them are leading right now.
Yeah, and it just shows you that I think that the secret, I mean, obviously Rinne's pace is incredible, but the way he's been able to make passes look so easy has just been mind-boggling as well. And look at this, he's already all over the back of Andy T, and Andy T's looked at his mirror thinking, what on earth has got into you today, Oskari? And I think we're going to, but I don't think Andy T's going to give up lightly. I think he'll put up a pretty stern defence, because when you've been leading for half the race, you're not going to want to give it away in a hurry. But Rinne's got such a run. Wow, absolutely amazing.
And T actually was a little bit off the apex there, so I think he got shook as they come up to Druids. Now they've got lap traffic. This is bad news for Andy. And once again, he struggles to get off the corner, having to weave across the track with that traffic. And Ascardi Rinne almost looks desperate. The car sliding around. He sends it in, down into Surtees. Can he actually make this pass stick? He almost does. He's still side by side. And once again, it's going to be a case of who is daring enough as they almost bang wheels coming through Pilgrim's Drop. Can they get out the other side of Hawthorne Bend? And Rinne around the outside for the second time in this race shows his might and takes the lead.
Wow. Well, viewers here on the Global SimRacing Channel, you are witnessing one of the greatest drives you will ever see in sim racing. That is an outrageous overtaking maneuver. They go down Pilgrim's Drop absolutely side by side, and T actually goes in that little bit earlier, as you see. There he goes. And then Rinne, where is that grip coming from? Absolutely immense. What a performance so far from Ascardi Rinne. But it's not done yet. T won't let him have it.
He's still within half a second, and they don't have any pressure from behind as we come back live. Wow, twice in one race around the outside of two corners that you don't usually even see that in normal circumstances, but for top positions in the top split of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You're right, Rinne has had his Wheaties, and he's still got about 11 laps to go. It's starting to look bad for T, though. It's up from a half a second to a full second in just about a lap.
Thanks to our producer slash pit lane reporter slash beard consultant, Ryan Bauer, a man of many talents, has spotted that there is an ever so slight bit of front wing damage on Andy T's car on the front left of the front wing. You can see it there, but how much it's affecting him, I'm not sure. I wonder if that might just be from just striking a curb, Joe. I don't know if it'll be affecting his speed. His lap times have been very consistent.
Yeah, it's always so hard to tell. I'm sure the drivers know a little bit more than us. Meanwhile, can we check on Kochi again? Because he's still fending off Simone, but Tomasz is right on top of him as he comes over the hill. Tries to stay within striking distance, and though he closes at Druids, unfortunately, he can't get the overlap he needs. Is this more lap traffic? Yes, that's Timothy Reed in front of them. Wonder if this will play a part.
I think it will. It certainly played a part in the battle with Andy T and Ascardi Rinne. Just gave Ascardi Rinne that little bit of an extra run. And, Timothy Reed, he'll see Kochi and Simone behind him. He'll see the blue flag, and brilliant respect there. You don't have to do that. And by iRacing rules, the blue flag is advisory. It says that the leaders have to make their way around on their own steam, but it's very, very good form if you're a lap down to just blend out the throttle for a second and let the leaders through. And that was very good form there indeed.
As Simone continues to run in the tire tracks of the number 4, we instead jump back to Tolanen, who's currently on the heels of Severi Seppa. 2 more Finns fighting hard for what is 7th place. Oh, and they're not going to fight for long because Seppa, an uncharacteristic mistake through Sterling, sends him off into the kitty litter. He'll get it going in 10th, but that was honestly very unexpected from Severi.
Yeah, you don't see Severi Seppa making too many errors, and you can see Tolanen having a massive moment behind him and just hanging on to it. But yep, easy to do. It just shows you how on the limit these guys are here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, I think I spotted just a touch of the grass on the way in. Here we go. Does Shimon have it this time? He's got the inside line. Oh, no, and he gets chopped off, and Shimon winds up in the fence. That definitely ends the streak of wins in this series on the broadcast races. Watching from onboard Shimon, this is a tough call here, Peter. I don't know. I mean, he did have a nose in. To be honest, it's even with an onboard camera like that, as good as it is, the speed that they're going in through there and the precision you've got to have. To me, personally, I would call that as a racing incident. It's always so easy to try and find blame, but that's just my view. I couldn't quite determine one there. What do you think, Joe? I'm kind of with you. I think Kochi had a right to shut the door, but he was at risk of spinning himself as well. And I think luck was just on his side this time. Let's see if it's on the side of Trangarade, who's still behind El Calde, trying to get 13th. And Emir Carr is with them, as we saw him race last week at Hockenheim. Let's see if he can get a 2-for-1 deal.
Well, you can see Trengarade's car there, the Honda Japan liveried machine, has got it's like a flick of a mustache, the front wing there. It's flicked right up. Now, that will be making a difference to the grip or lack of as well. So, mind you, for the Lotus 49 guys, of which Ovi Trengarade is a regular front runner, they're used to having absolutely no downforce at all. So even damaged aero is better than no aero at all.
Yeah, the Norwegian often is seen running sideways a lot in that series. Prix, man, unusually bad race for the number one. Of course, he did get punted off at one point and has collected himself up to 8th right now. He's challenging Tolanen for 7th. He's only got 8 laps to go here as he crosses the line coming up the Brabham straight. He's going to have to be closer than that, though, if he wants to get an overtake.
You can see Oskari Rinna making his way through the traffic here as well. And I mean, isn't it ridiculous, Joe, that we're seeing Ovi Trengarade having a relatively clean race and Oskari Rinna is putting him a lap down? And that is nothing against Ovi Trengarade. That is showing you just the level that Oskari Rinna is on today. This is just, I don't like superlatives. I don't like over exaggeration. But this is, for me, it's got to be the vintage performance I think I've ever seen in Lotus 79 competition here on iRacing.
An Ove exaggeration, maybe?
Oh, bravo.
Yes.
Bravo. Yes, you're on form today, Joe P.
Thank you. As we come back to
Oh, thank you.
This is this fight for 6th position. He's a lot closer this time than we saw just about a lap ago. The number one still seeing if he can try to put a challenge on Tolanen, heading under the bridge towards Clearway and Clark. And heading up the front stretch, he just drops back off the corner. The aero wake still, even despite the downforce, the ground effects in this car still seems to be a problem once you get close.
It does, and you don't necessarily get that big a draft either, so it's kind of the worst of both worlds, unfortunately. You've really got to, and again, I'll say it again, that is why the overtaking manoeuvres are really difficult to pull off, and how easy Oskari Rinna has made them look today. It is absolutely exceptional. 7 laps to go. It's a short lap here. Even on the GP circuit, that's just how much corner speed. But we've got a spinner there as well. Lots of smoke pouring up there as well.
That was Ove.
Oh, Ove's Ove done it.
Now we're just being cruel as the 16, unfortunately. Oh, and he's going to get a big hit. We're going to see Carr, unfortunately, not able to find a way past. Yeah, just T-bones that Honda. And with that, his top speed is severely hampered, and Trangarade is actually taken to the pits to get some repairs done. So let's watch this fight for 6 yet again. Now down to 6 laps to go. He's hovering within about a quarter of a second. Just off the racing line, that car sliding off into the AstroTurf.
Yeah, I tell you what, this has actually been a good recovery from Gernot Fritzsche, because he was really unfortunate to get kind of ploughed off really early on in the race, and that must have given him some sort of damage. The car can't be at 100%, but he really fought hard, and this is what makes championships, I think, you know, is it's not just one race, it's about a 12-race season, and Gernot Fritzsche came into this round 6 points off the lead off Andy T. Now that lead looks like it will increase, obviously, but it's a long old season, and when you have these, everyone will have these little mishaps. It's how you recover from them that makes a championship charge.
Saw an attempt down to the inside of Hawthorne there from Fritzsche. This is the closest he's been since we started following this little back and forth. We watch from the gearbox of Yuka, coming up to Clark once again. And at times we can see passes into Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, he's gaining. He's got a good slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Can he actually get the overlap he needs? Not quite, but he's given space. Tolinen trying to play fair. He leaves the door open yet again, but now he finally shuts it into Druids. Fritzsche with another attempt, but another one marked as a failure.
He's standing there with door. You coming in? You coming in? You coming in? No, slammed it in his face. Brilliant. It was almost as if he kind of lured Gernot Fritzsche into a little bit of false sense of security there, did Yuka Tolinen. But you can see from the lap times, just Gernot just that tiny little bit quicker, but is he quick enough to make that pass as they go flying past a car lap down? And tell you what, if you're the lap car there, you're thinking, goodness me, they're going at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was Parigi, and actually very clever there from Tolinen. Tried to steal a bit of the slipstream from that lapped car to help him down Pilgrim's Drop, and a big correction coming around Sheen. Nearly catches out Gernot Fritzsche as we rode on board. Thankfully, he doesn't lose the car and doesn't really lose a lot of time.
Just shows you how much of a knife edge these cars can be. You've really got to step beyond what you think the car will actually do, because it has this otherworldly grip. I mean, that was just what the discovery of ground effect really changed the sport completely, and Lotus caught such a jump on their competition, and Mario Andretti, I'm not going to say cakewalked it, but certainly a dominant performance to his one and only F1 championship. But Gernot Fritzsche trying everything he can here to put a bit of pressure on Yuka Tolinen, but I wonder if maybe into Hawthorne might be an opportunity just to sit in the draft, try and get a few extra feet, but it's a difficult one.
Yeah, I don't think he's close enough this time, but the last 2 laps we saw him actually manage that overlap this time into Paddock Hill Bend as he challenged the number 12. So he seems to be getting the run out of Clark. If he could just get that little bit more, maybe a few inches higher, maybe he could get the overtake done. Tolinen's going to continue to challenge. He's a credit to the Finn. He's been holding him off from the outside line both times through Paddock Hill Bend. So it's going to be a difficult ask. This one doesn't look as good, unfortunately, for Gernot as he falls away a little bit.
We've been running out of time now. 3 laps to go, about just under 4 minutes left in this race. And whoa, Fritzsche going very wide, and whoa, his teammate behind him, that's Andreas Henkel having a big old slide there into the gravel trap, but I think he gathered it up just before the wall, and there's a horrible little wall that sort of sticks out there. It's horrible, and if you hit it, oh my word, it's a dead stop.
Yeah, we're going to watch the replay here. I almost wonder if this was a bit of target fixation. Yeah, this is a perfect angle for that. Henkel maybe just watching that car ahead a little too much.
Yeah, you can see him just losing it. Whoa, big moment there. See what I mean? How well, best I don't get up on my high horse about that particular barrier. I've seen quite a few British touring cars being completely destroyed there.
Well, thankfully, no life, limb, or pocketbook on the line for the virtual drivers here today, and at least for Henkel, he's able to keep driving. Fritzsche as well. It looks like Timothy Reed has headed into the pits. We had a number of drivers retire or come in to get some repairs done. This is our leader in the meantime, Ascari Rinna, now up to 5 seconds ahead of Andy T. I suspect that qualifying did not go the way that Rinne really would have wanted, but he made it really a moot point today because it took him just a little more than half the race to get up to the top spot, and then from there was no looking back.
And indeed, you look at those lap times. I mean, only one other driver has got into the 111s. My apologies, two. Timo Karolainen, 111.9. Thomas Simon, 111.9 as well. Rinne has been in the 111s, as you can see there, for the last few laps, and well into it as well. 111.5 last time by. I say, not a fan of hyperbole, but I hand on heart say best drive I've seen in this series in my time commentating on it.
And we came on board there with Freesia just as he was coming away from the side-by-side through Hawthorne. This time he was fully up to the front wing, the front wheels there of that Ligier that he's battling with. Ooh, this one looks good. He's going to get the slipstream, and they're getting the white flag as they come by as he ducks down to the inside. He's much farther along. Can he actually get the momentum off the corner? Tolinen says, no, you can't. He's going to be ahead of him. Tries to send it in one more time, but no, he's denied yet again by the 12 car.
Good respect there from Gernot Fritzsche. He could have let the brake off and hoped for the best, but decided to avoid the contact there. Very, very good. But here is your number one today, Oskari Rinne. What a drive this has been, Joe.
Incredible. From 7th on the grid to take victory as our third different winner this season in 3 rounds. Oskari Rinne takes the win, with T following him home wondering what happened. And Nicola Cocci with a well-earned third as we watch this fight with Freesia still continuing on all the way to the line.
And in true Sebastian Vettel style of 10 years ago, Rinne putting in the fastest lap on the last lap, 111.4. Unbelievable.
Oh, I think we're going to see a dive. He's looking at the inside down into Clark, but no, he's going to try and play fair and not try and run into the side of Tolinen. Even though he's got the run, he runs out of straightaway, and Tolinen will claim 6th. Freesia in 7th. Hankel just behind them in P8. Only 11 cars on the lead lap today. It's a short lap around here, but that was some stunning pace from Oskari Rinne. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch. We just watched round 3 in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series, and Ascari Rinna really pulled one over on all of us. Didn't seem like the best of qualifying, but that wasn't the whole story as he charged up from 7th to take the win today. And Andy T followed him home even though he led a good chunk of the race and did not have the same pace as that Finn. Nicola Cocci wound up in 3rd with some hard-fought fights, and Michael de Turk finished behind him in 4th. Contact actually between Cocci and Simone sent him back to P5 despite starting on the front row. Jukka Tolinen finished in 6th with Gernot Friesche down in 7th today. Another one that was unfortunately caused by a little bit of car contact as he was as high as 4th at one point. Andreas Henkel finished P8, Timo Karjalainen in P9, and Severi Seppa in 10th.
Finishing in 11th place today here at Brands Hatch for this Lotus 79 Grand Prix Legends Series was Sam Doby, the last driver on the lead lap. Mick Claridge 1 lap down, the first of the drivers off the lead lap in 12th, followed by Miguel Alcalde, Emir Tanjol-Kar, Alessandro Parigi, David Serrois, Timothy Reid, Uwe Trengerade, Pablo Suarez, and Roman Pawlowski rounding out your top 20.
Then in 21st, we get to the drivers that DNF'd: Partanen, Vico, Prado, and Kortaniemi. So, looks like we have, I believe, our 3rd place finisher up first, Nicola Cocci, ready, we're going to try and get them sorted out here. Here we go. We've got Nicola in the booth now as a 3rd place. You had some really hard fights in there, a little bit of car contact as well. What was it like from your perspective around there today, Nicola?
Hi, guys. Yeah, it was very, very tough, let me tell you. First of all, let me apologize for the contact with Thomas. I just watched the replay, and I think that was kind of my side. I should have left more space on the inside, but when I was there, I thought it was enough. And on my wheel, I even felt nothing, and I just realized that Thomas had a crash because I saw the relative and he was lagging behind. But sorry for that, mate. Wasn't intentional at all, and I have 2 very hard fight with him and with Oscar that today was way too fast. I mean, that guy is incredible, and I'm sure that Thomas, of course, was faster than me as well. But I think I had a chance because my setup was a little less downforce, so I could defend myself on the straight. And so I put everything I had and to keep it. But yeah, sorry about the contact.
It's understandable, and it's good to hear a driver put their hands up in that sort of situation. Even still, when you saw Ascari approaching you, were you surprised, considering he started so far back, 7th in the field?
Well, yes and no, because he started very, very, behind. I don't know if it was like 3rd or 4th row, but I knew he was going to come back because I already had another race on Saturday, I think, or Friday, and I could measure his pace, and it was incredible pace. So unless he had some kind of issue around the time he was going to get him back, I don't know, maybe bent wing or something like that. I was sure that it was coming for us, for me and Andy as well. So I think he done what he had to do. He kept the car clean, pushed like hell, and he was able to get us both. So congratulations to him and to Andy as well.
We've had 3 different winners in the first 3 rounds, and you've had a 2nd and a 3rd. When we head off to VIR, I think you can become 4 for 4?
Well, I really would like to, but with this kind of guy in the field, is very, very hard. unless something happened. At least for that's what I think. I really like Virginia, but one thing is to like a track, and another thing is being blazing fast like these guys are. And I will try for sure. I have enough time to practice, and I hope I will just go down for the right path during the week about the setup development.
Well, best of luck to you, and again, congratulations on giving us an exciting race at a podium.
Thank you, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
That was third place, Nicola Kochi, and second place went to Andy T, as Peter has caught up with a man that is probably scratching his head wondering where his pace went.
Andy, welcome to the GSRC commentary box. You had some red-hot pace today, but that Scamposkari Rinna, he was just on a charge.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's going for a black stripe, right? Guy's an incredible driver, just fantastic. And now I get my excuses in. So I did a 4-hour bike ride earlier today and didn't eat enough carbs, so I bonked pretty hard. So I don't remember half of that race, and my hands were shaking for most of it. So I'm just glad I finished in a reasonable position, dear Lord.
Well, bonked maybe has a slightly different meaning north of the border, but we'll gloss over that one, Andy. But you were red hot. One lap pace was very, very good. Of course, quickest in practice, and then putting it on pole. But how hard is it here at Brands Hatch? Because it's got such a high corner speeds. How was that to kind of manage that over the race, over the course of the race?
It's hard enough when you can focus fully, because you touch one bit of grass, one curb, ever so slightly, and that's it. It's race over. So to push like Oscary did is just mind-blowing. Like, even if I was feeling fine, he'd have won the race today, no doubt. Like, that extra 10th you need to do full send here is just, yeah, mind-boggling. And to be fair, I think Tamas had my pace as well today, but by the looks of things, he's just had an unfortunate race.
Yeah, got a little bit mired back in the, but a little bit, I say back in the pack, a few places back indeed. And of course, this will solidify you at the top of the championship. I presume we're going to see you throughout the season and fight for that championship with these guys.
Yeah, too soon though, isn't it? Anything can happen.
Typical racing driver, underplay it. Andy, before we let you go, who would you like to say hello to here on GSRC?
Move, Ascalampi. Feel better, buddy.
We will echo those sentiments as well. Andy, thanks so much for coming in to chat to us, and good job on the second place today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks again for the broadcast. Catch you later.
That was second place, Andy T, and our winner that we definitely want to hear from, Oscary Rinna. Oscar, my goodness, let's start before the race even began. You qualified in 7th, but you only had one qualifying lap in. Do you think that you were out of position in that Q session? Could you have gone higher up the grid?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I haven't practiced this much for a 79 race in a long time because I had the time now, and I really wanted to do well here because it's a track I enjoy. But on the first flying lap, T6, the fast right-hander, I just went like just a little bit wide and left rear, got on the grass, and I spun. And for some reason, I thought the tires would cool down for the second lap, but they were still so hot, and I couldn't get a good lap in.
So that explains it. We wondered if maybe it was just a banker to get one down. But also, the race itself, you had 2 passes on your way up to the lead around the outside, one at Paddock Hill Bend and one at Hawthorne. Did you know you could do passes around the outside there? Because I've never seen that, especially for the lead and for top positions in a series as steeply talented as this.
I mean, I think actually going for around the outside in T1 and T5 is a little bit better in these cars because you can just maximize the track. When you're on the inside, you just kind of need to hold your line, so you lose a lot of momentum. So I think going outside there is actually the better choice.
Interesting. Well, I'm keeping that in my notebook then. It certainly, made our eyes bug out as it was an impressive moment. Now,
you need to trust the guy on the inside, because you have really no control over that. So if he doesn't want to lose too much, he might run out wide and hit you. So it's a bit of a risky move, but the drivers here are so clean, so you can pull those off.
I was going to say, if ever there was a series where you could trust drivers in, I would think this would be it. Now, I know Peter is a big fan of Andre Lauder, and he seems very enamored with your helmet. Is there a story behind why you have his on top of you?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think he's one of the most underrated drivers out there still. I mean, he's getting a bit old now, but watching him in the WEC and everything, I think he's just one of those underrated drivers, and I think his helmet design is also really cool. So there's the reason, basically, for it.
And as fans of our favorite drivers, it's never a shame to be able to pay some homage to them here in the virtual world. Well, congratulations, Oscar, and hopefully we'll get to see you at VIR. This was one for the record books, at least for us.
Yeah, I hope I'll be there. I think I should. It's a new track for me. I'd never really driven there, but I think I will try to do it.
We definitely hope to see you. That was Scotty Rina, who was our winner here today. Finally, one last...
Can I say to Teemu, who's probably watching, to get well soon, because he was in a hospital, and I hope he will also return to these races at some point.
Obviously, he's missed, as multiple drivers have now given shout out to him. As I was mentioning, that was Rina, our winner, and I do believe we have Michael de Turk, our fourth place finisher. Peter has caught up with a driver who is a bit farther behind than our top three.
Michael, welcome to the GSRC commentary box. How was that out there at Brands Hatch today?
Thanks. Happy to be here. It was an intense race. I had a really good result, but I'm really, really sorry I hit Timo. He executed a perfect pass on me. You know, he pushed me to the inside and won, made me go defensive, compromised my exit, went down the inside into two. He did everything right, and then I just hit him. So I'm really happy I got fourth, but I'm really upset I hit him.
You'll have to drown your sorrows with a nice a vodka martini, obviously, with one of those. Now, Michael, I have a confession to make. I was earlier on. I thought I'll go and do some laps to see what the drivers are going to be up against today here at Brands Hatch, and I very kindly made use of one of your setups that you very kindly put on the forum. Just give us, for those who are watching or maybe watching this, thinking this looks like a whole lot of fun. Just tell them about that and how they can get involved with the series.
It's really been a group effort, you know. Severi Seppa, Tomas Simon, Timo and Yuka and I all kind of got together and made setups, and we wanted to make the series more accessible. I know some people think the Lotus 79 is difficult to drive, and I'm not saying it's easy. I know it's difficult, but when you have a setup that's close for the track, you know, you might need to do a little wing tweak here or there to suit your driving style. But when you have a setup that's close, it makes it a whole lot easier. And so we got together during week 13 and all made setups and put them up. And I think it's been good for participation. You know, we tried to have a lot of transparency about choosing tracks and setups, and everybody's really willing to help in our Discord channel for Lotus, which is posted in every weekly thread. So you know, I think it's been really, really good. It's been a good group effort.
Well, it certainly helped me. That was for sure. And yeah, I could echo your sentiment there to everyone get out there and enjoy this car. Now, it's been a good season so far for you, Michael. Is it the change of vice? You've ditched the cigars and you're now onto the vermouth.
Calms the nerves a little bit. I've been progressing, but this week specifically, Andy T gave me a lot of help. He did some video review with me, tweaked the setup a little bit. I was actually using something he modified. I'll admit, I was not using the setup that I posted, but it was close. But Andy really helped me a lot to kind of tweak my driving line and mistakes I was making. So I got to give a big shout out to him and a big thank you.
It's brilliant to hear. Well, before we let you go, Michael, who would you like to say hello to here on GSRC?
anybody, any of my friends who tuned in and were watching, and like I said, a big thank you to Andy and to the other guys who have worked together to try to make this series more popular.
Couldn't agree more. Michael, thanks for coming in to chat to us, and looking forward to speaking again very soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That was Michael DeTurk, a well-earned 4th place today, and that's going to close us out. A big thank you, of course, goes to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Otherwise, we wouldn't get races like we had today. But also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Peter, Ryan, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. Keep a link in the description below. Don't forget, while you're down there, to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, is going to Virginia International Raceway Sunday, April 11th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. I hope everybody has a happy Easter, but until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.